everybody. My name is Mindy Vincent. Welcome to another episode of Therapeutic Madness. As you can see by the way that our screen is set up, we are in the quarantine for coronavirus right now. And so actually this episode is going to be the next episode to air. And Justin and let's say hi to Justin. Justin, our co-host, Mr. Justin Areola. Hi, Justin. But Justin and I wanted to do an episode and talk about, this unprecedented time and the kinds of impacts that it's having. He and I talk a lot about the kind of impacts it's having in our own lives, and we get to see kind of what's going on around us. So, yeah, let's talk about coronavirus. Justin warned me about this shit a long time ago.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't believe him.
I actually had a handle on this pretty early on. I had some people that are pretty well connected, and you and I talked, and at that time, there were several people that I'd kind of talked to, and they said, "Oh, it's crazy. No way, no way, no way." And now here we are. And it has gotten crazy. Things are crazy everywhere. And
I thought it was crazy when people started buying all the toilet paper. And that was just the beginning. You still can't get fucking toilet paper.
I know. I don't understand where the hell all this toilet paper's going. I really don't.
I don't know where it's going either. Nobody shits that much. I just don't get it. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. But just talking about this generally, this is a once in 100-year type of an event, once in a lifetime. And when you couple it with some of the outside external forces that are acting, we're in an election year. Little natural
really disasters. Probably one of the more this is a very touchy election year.
Yeah, I mean, this next election is going to be very important for a number of reasons. And at this point in time, at least in my lifetime, I don't ever remember seeing such a galvanized division between parties and between political affiliations, and people being so adamant and so entrenched in their own political views, where they literally spew hate at these other people who have a different viewpoint other than theirs, right?
Yeah, Chris and I was just telling Chris out just yesterday morning on Facebook, some guy that I don't even know, who's actually in the recovering community, called me a cunt on Facebook because I said that people who still support Trump are idiots. And so he called me a cunt. And then another lady called me a baby killer and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, well, saying that I'm hateful. And I'm like, what did I say that was hateful? Holy shit. I don't use the C word ever. Holy cats. So yeah, it's really weird. So you've got all that going on. It's been going on now for 4 years,
Right.
And then you add on top of it, because of that weird politicalness, I think it's made it even more difficult to for public health to do a good job, because people are like, oh, well, what do we listen to? Who do we believe? Fake news, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah, no. And I think that's part of it. But, so it's this weird thing, right? We're now being shown on a global level how connected we all are. Right.
Yeah.
And this, there's so much division. And now we have this thing, basically, Mother Nature, whatever, the conspiracy theories, man-made virus, all that stuff. But basically, we've got this virus who is adversarial to humanity, to life, right? It's killing people. There are people that are losing their lives.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to see another shift. And that shift is that we are all, having to homeschool our kids. We are all having to deal with losing loved ones to this virus. You're seeing people that are locked down. And so you're now starting to see the same tools that were used to divide us are now providing pathways for us to connect, because we can't actually physically connect. And what I'm hoping is that at the end of this, when people can stop isolating and it's safe to go out and be around people, that we'll remember how hard it was when we were all so separate.
Yeah.
And that we really come together, as a species, right? The race, the human race. Because that's the reality, is that we're all on this rock out in the middle of space, in the middle of nowhere, in this vast expanse. And we act like we're so different from one another, but we're kind of all in the same boat.
Yeah. I
So
agree. Let's talk about like some of the ways that this has been different. So I know as a therapist, right, since all this has started to go down, and I live in Wasatch County. So for people who are watching the show who are not in the state of Utah, uh, we had I think our first case came out of Park City, right? Wasn't it Summit County?
yep, yep.
So Summit County is next to my county, Wasatch County, and we're like little kissing cousins. So many people who
That's
live
how
in
it got
Wasatch
here.
County, yeah, many people who live in Wasatch County work in Summit County, work in Park City, and a lot of people go back and forth, right? So we knew Wasatch County was going to be on an outbreak, and we actually had a high schooler come up positive. So I've been on quarantine for at least 3 weeks up in Wasatch County. And in that time, I noticed right away, like, my clients all having significantly higher rates of anxiety and depression. The things that normally I would tell people to do, or I would help the skills I would help them learn to manage some of these things are things that people can't do. People can't employ. You can't get really connected to people. You can't, if you're in recovery, you can't go to meetings. There's online meetings. That's not the same as like showing up to fellowship hall and being at a meeting and having cheese fries. Um, People are not able to get out now, even more so because like in my county, we're on a stay-at-home order. So like people can't go in the parks. There's certain things you can do as long as social distance is a thing, but so many things that people normally would do to help themselves feel better to get through hard times, people cannot do. And then
Right.
you add on top of that, people being at home all the time. I know for myself, I found myself, like I've had to I have to have a lot of awareness around if and when I drink and why, because like this is a recipe for disaster for alcoholism for people for sure. Because if you're just sitting at home and you can't go anywhere, people, I know for sure many people are drinking a lot more. I lost a friend to an overdose last week. I know that people are relapsing more and they're not being able to connect. I have gained 12 pounds since this quarantine started because I can't go to the fucking gym. And because if I'm home, I'm like, well, I should cook because I love to cook. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cook everything in sight. And so it's
Yeah.
been a whole bunch of things. Like I'm completely out of my routine, and I'm not somebody who even struggles with depression. And yet I feel like I've been starting to feel depressed because I see the same things every day. And I am a horrible parent as far as homeschooling goes. Like it's not my
It's hard
thing.
to
And when
work
I'm
and
at home,
homeschool.
I'm working. And
Right.
yeah. So Justin, talk about this, because this is not just me who feels this way. And Chris and I talked about this earlier too, because like when I'm at home and working, I'm working. But my daughter thinks I'm like at home. I have a 10-year-old and she's like, hey mom. And I'm like, Nizzles, not now. I'm working. And I'm like in sessions. And that's another thing. Doing therapy over the phone all day, like it's burning me out. It is burning me out. I do not want to be on the phone any goddamn more. It's
Yeah, I
totally
hear
different
you.
doing therapy over the phone than it is doing it in person. And it is not as like the exchange in energy is different. It's really weird. I can't really explain it.
Well, and it's just hard to really get a feel for what people are talking about if you can't see them, right? If you can't
Mm-hmm.
see what's going on around them, you can't look at facial gestures. But let's touch on something. So I just saw an article today that alcohol sales across the country, from the numbers that they're reporting, are up 55%.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a recipe of people are drinking more.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
we
why?
also,
Because honestly though, like why not? Like, because when people are at home and they have the day and like, it's like, well, I might as well have a drink, right? But the problem
right?
with that is that like this is happening day after day after day after day,
Yeah, and that's how
and
you fall
so
into
then it
that
makes it
pattern,
easier to do that again the next day because alcoholism and addiction are overlearned habits.
right? And so then that's one piece. But something else that some people are talking about, but I don't think enough people are talking about, is strain in relationships. When you're sharing tight quarters, people need to have a release, right? And
Yeah.
so things like going to the gym, getting outside, being physically active, those are ways that we maintain our mental health. And some of
Yeah.
those things are being taken off the table. A lot of our tools are being taken off the table on how do we deal with our day to day. our repetitive patterns that are replacing negative repetitive patterns, right? So getting up
Right.
early, going to the gym, stopping and getting a coffee from your favorite coffee shop. Those are
Yeah.
things that people do, those creature comforts, that all of those things have been taken away. And so people are having to relearn and do things. And so I think that that's, very hard from a community mental health standard to take this massive change in lifestyle and now all of a sudden say, okay, you guys figure it out. Hey, not only are you
Yeah.
going to have to work from home, but your kids are also going to have to be at home, and you're going to have to be the one that has to deal with the homeschooling stuff now.
And you've been out of
Um,
toilet paper for a week and a half.
right. And, like things like, so now I've got my 11-year-old son in the house. I'm working from home. I'm doing dishes. He's doing dishes. And it's like, I'm home all day, but I haven't been able to do anything. I've been working and now dealing with, his school stuff. And then it's the end of the day and you're like, okay, well, we can't necessarily go out and eat, so I got to cook something. And so you're just, you're just in this different pattern.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we, as a community, recognize that we are all learning and trying to go through some stuff here. And it's important to recognize that we need to have some empathy and some patience, just across the board with where people are at. Check in with your friends,
Yeah.
make some phone calls when you can, and really look at the people that are around you that may have already been struggling before this happened. Another thing that we've talked about a little bit is domestic violence. So
Yeah.
people that are now trapped in their homes with people that they have, strained or abusive relationships with, and don't really have anywhere to go. And so,
And children
yeah,
too,
and
child
children too.
abuse,
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. Or children that are in low income brackets
Yeah.
that rely on school lunch programs, right? And so I've
Yeah.
seen like the schools around here, they're like, yeah, we're open every day from, this time to this time for the lunch programs, but you still have to get to the school. You still have to go pick those things up, where before it was just getting your kids to school or riding the bus to school.
Yeah.
Um,
And on top
so
of
yeah,
the unemployment,
yeah,
we have more people filed for unemployment last week, I think it was, than since
right.
I can't remember. It's like since for a long time. I think it was maybe
It's
1992
for a
or
long time.
something.
It was high. It was 3.3 million the week or last week. We don't know what it is this week. We'll have numbers on that soon, but um, I think the highest on record before that was about 800,000 people.
See, and that's really scary because, like, I mean, there are so many layers to this. And I started making videos, and tomorrow I'll start posting them again, just talking about some of these struggles because there is so many of them with this coronavirus situation. I mean, there's the panic that's been ensued. And also, something I was going to say for people who are watching or people who are watching who are not in Utah, right after the coronavirus outbreak, we had the biggest earthquake we've had in Utah in 100 years. It was a 5.6 earthquake, which is not, it's not the San Francisco earthquake, but it caused some damage here in Utah. And more importantly, there has been hundreds of aftershocks ever since. And so it's been causing people to have a lot of anxiety. I mean, I felt the earthquake up where I live, and I live 60 miles from the epicenter. So
Yeah,
that says a little bit of something. But so there's been some other things that have caused panic, and then with people getting panicked about the toilet paper and running out and buying everything, and that's causing layers of complications. I think kids are maybe starting to get depressed because they're not able to play or see their friends. And when you think about seniors just lost their prom, they lost their graduation, college students just lost their convocations. There's
yeah.
a lot of people who've worked for a lot of things that they don't get to have anymore. Small businesses that are going to go under,
Well, like
because
college
these,
sports, right? A lot of these
yeah,
kids are trying to find a way out of their communities, and they are looking for scholarships to college, and all of that stuff has been put on hold. So it's a really trying time for everybody, and that's kind of why we're doing the show, is that we want to talk about some of these concerns that we have and address them now, and maybe be able to provide some tools or just some comic relief even
yeah,
about some of the things that we're faced. You talked about seniors, and when you said seniors, I was thinking like seniors, like
yeah.
old people, right? So like seniors, yeah, like in
Some of my
high
comic
school,
relief was about to come.
yeah. And so when you talk about these people, like now they're being forced to be isolated because they're so vulnerable as a population, right? As a
Yes.
subgroup.
And they're
And
already isolated, vulnerable, and they're one of the most highly
right,
abused populations in the country. Elderly people are abused at such horrible rates. It's not even funny.
right. And so, we've shared a lot of the gloom and doom. We're going to take a break here in just a little bit, but what we
And we're coming back with solutions, damn it.
right, we're going to talk about some ways that we can alleviate some of the things that you're doing. We can talk about isolation, but doesn't mean you can't get outside and catch some sun. Vitamin D is a very great way to feel better in your mental capacity, and so I believe that anyway.
Yes.
Anyway,
So let's take a break, and then we'll come right back and we'll talk about some solutions for how we can deal with some of these obstacles of coronavirus. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Therapeutic Madness. This is our special episode on the coronavirus, aka COVID-19, that snaky son of a bitch.
AKA the Rona. That's what I'm
The
calling it.
Rona, yeah.
The Rona.
my Sharona. But I don't know anybody named Sharona. I'll come up with a better song for this, and I'll sing it for you all next week. But in the meantime, so Justin and I were just talking about, a lot of the barriers and difficulties that have come about that I think some of them we could see coming, but I think some of them we couldn't have seen coming. But it's definitely having a huge impact on people's mental health, their stability, their security, their connection with other people, people's recovery, all sorts of things. So we want to get into the solution. Like, what are some of the things that we can do or that, we all can do to try to make this situation better? So, Justin, what are some of the things that you've done to make your situation work better for you? What's the shit you've done with working at home? Like, what have you done with your son? Like, what are some things you've done?
So one of the biggest things that I have tried to make a conscious effort in this is getting rid of some of the guilt, right? So, not being on top of certain things or realizing that I'm adjusting to this new way of life for right now and having that be okay. I think guilt is such a hard thing to carry. It's a burden, and just all of us taking a minute and saying, hey, this is new. It's okay. We're trying to figure this out. I'm definitely not perfect. I've got a pile of laundry on my bed that I need to fold. I've got things that I need to do in the house. And
I just folded my 7 loads of laundry this morning that have been sitting in my room for over a week. Woo! I still have to put them away, but they're folded. Fuck yeah,
hey,
bitches.
that's a step. That's a step
Right?
in the right
It's
direction.
about taking little steps, goddammit. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right. And so I think practicing, radical forgiveness, not only to the people that are around you, that, if you're working with other people that are working from home, you don't know if that mom is a single mom, or maybe you do know, but, she's having, 2 or 3 kids at home, and she has to try and get through their daily lessons and trying to keep her job and keep her boss happy. And oftentimes answering phone calls that are being routed to their house. Have a little patience with some of the people that maybe not in the same boat as you are.
Yeah, and I want to echo something off that because I think that we all do need to practice, a lot of radical forgiveness, radical acceptance, and self-compassion.
Yeah.
But also like remembering that you're not in the same situation as other people. So I've seen a lot of people, especially this was toward the beginning, seeing a lot of people, going off saying, employers need to give employees time off, all paid and da da da. As an employer, of a small business, a small nonprofit business, I wish I could do that. Wish I could, and it doesn't work like that. Like, not only can my employees not, I mean, I can't get paid, my if I can't get paid, my employees certainly can't get paid, and so we've had to really be creative and come up with ways that we would keep everything running. Syringe exchange is considered an essential service. But don't make assumptions that people don't want you to have good health. Don't make assumptions that your employer doesn't give a shit about you. Your employers work for what they have all their lives, and they don't want to see it go down the toilet. And the only way you can keep a business running is if the business is running. And so be compassionate and patient with people who are trying to figure out how you can make things work in an impossible situation where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because I think a lot of people are stuck in that place. I mean, I'm not Amazon. or like IBM or any of those big companies, right? Like these small businesses are
IBM.
really, it's going to be tough to get them through. And that's something we all need to do too, is support as many of our small businesses as we can during this time,
Yep.
because I want my neighbor to make it.
Yeah, and I mean, the big companies, they're going to be able to get loans and bailouts and
Yeah.
things that are going to allow them to keep running.
They can take the
Um,
hit in the first place.
right. They have cash reserves on hand. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody should forget that Amazon, was record amounts of cash. They were very flush. They just started to become profitable, right? But Google's the same boat, tons of cash on hand. And so these are companies that employ a bunch of people, and we understand why they need to be in existence, and why they all that
Yeah.
stuff can be debated later. But really, this mom and pops, the people that put their entire savings into a business and are just starting to make it. I myself am a small business owner, and we were really worried about like what our clients were going to do. Are they going to keep moving forward on projects? Are we going to keep moving? And then we had this earthquake, and that actually put a bunch of work on my table just because of that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put yourself in the other person's shoes, whether it's a business owner or the employee.
Yeah.
One of the other things, and I'll put this on the other hand, is there are businesses who have continued to operate. Really, businesses that I didn't, like junk mail mailing centers, right? We've talked about that.
Yep.
Um,
Call centers.
Telemarketing calls that are trying to get you to buy car warranties and stuff. Like, you know, they're putting 100 people in the same room and they're forcing these people to come in. More than likely, those companies are going to be taking money from the government with this package that's being put out. So let's be smart and
Yeah.
let's decide what's really, necessary and what's not.
When I had to
So,
learn creative flexibility, like immediately. People who know me
yeah,
know
that
that
was
I can
tough.
be kind of rigid and blah, blah, blah.
What?
I know. Justin, can you believe that? I know. Justin's
Yeah.
shocked. He's shocked. So, but I've had to really become flexible really quickly, because not only am I a single mom who my kids are out of school, right? But I am also a business owner, and I also have employees who I love and care about very much, who have family members who are compromised that cannot be exposed to COVID. And so we had to really, get creative with how are we going to, how are we going to make everything work, because it's what we've got to do for everybody. And we've been able to make it work. It's actually been a blessing in disguise for us, in many ways. And
Yeah, there
I
was a
think
lot of
that
fear there
personally, it's been
initially.
a blessing in disguise too, because it's taught
Yeah.
me to be flexible, to trust the universe, to trust that I don't know what the end outcome is going to be. And so therefore, I have to just show up and do what's right in front of me. And it's funny too, because I'm like a planner, like in a way, because I'm a person who's recovered from a substance use disorder, and I really had to have a lot of structure and routine in my life for me to recover from that, right? And I'm a planner, and this has made it so that I can't really plan. I can't really plan like in that compulsive way that makes me feel like I'm in control, that's probably not even that fucking healthy,
Right.
and so it's really helped me to learn how to let go of that. And I don't have to know what's going on every weekend or day from now until fucking March of 2021.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's
I
been a big
know. And
shift for
I thought
you,
for
right?
sure I'd die without having those things.
Right. Well, you did act like you were going to die when you had to cancel Mexico, but
I know I did have to cancel Mexico, everyone, and that was very sad. But if it makes you feel any better, I was able to get a trip to Chile where I will snowboard in the Andes for $210 round trip. And I renewed my Icon passes today.
yeah. So I think let's talk about that for a minute. So, when we talk about getting through some of these issues where you're feeling like you're cooped up, some of the things that I've seen online where you can actually like go on drives outside on YouTube. If you want to go and check out like the Grand Canyon, you can do
Yeah.
flyover tours and you can
The
do
teddy
virtual
bear thing. Have
tours.
you seen that?
What's that?
Have you seen the teddy bear thing? It's
No,
bear hunting season. So people all over the country, or at least in Utah for sure, are putting teddy bears in their windows. And then like families are going driving, hunting bears, and like counting how many bears they can find.
I haven't seen that. So
Yeah, it's a bear hunting extravaganza.
nice. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I do know that there are groups. Like I saw a few YouTube videos, but also Google Earth. You can go and do some like street view stuff on Google Earth. So
Mm-hmm.
there are some ways to
Don't stalk people though. If you have an injunction, you stay the fuck away from Google Earth.
yeah. But you know,
We need the comic relief.
yeah, we do. There are ways for you to feel like you're not, you know, cooped up.
Yeah. Get
Also
out and
like,
go for a hike.
yeah, online meetups, right? And I will say with some of the get out and go for a hike, like if you look at some of the hiking places like in LA and stuff,
Yeah.
there's lines of people. And so
Oh.
maybe that's not the best.
And our national parks are closed. Like they want Zion's closed. Moab sent out a
yeah,
thing a couple weeks ago, said, please don't fucking come here.
yeah. But that
You know, so
doesn't
getting
mean
maybe some of those are not great places. I'm running a virtual half marathon through
nice,
vacation races.
nice. But you know that doesn't mean that you can't get outside, right?
Yeah,
As long
that's
as
true.
you're isolating yourself. So, you know, go to the foothills or go to a park and just maintain your distance, but sit in the sunlight. And that's going to actually touch on another thing that I think is very important for us as people. That, you know, we're all sitting home, making sure that your supplementation is right. Whether you know you believe in those things, getting key vital nutrients is very important for your mental health.
And those are actually, you don't have to believe in that if you don't want to, but you can just go ahead and throw science out the fucking window if you don't. Because vitamin D is absolutely required for people to not feel depressed. And oftentimes when people are feeling the most depressed, you can just check their vitamin D levels and they're at 0. You know what I mean? So like, but Justin saying about the supplements, that stuff, you know, that and nutrients, that stuff is crazy important. And I know that for me, I've been eating fucking Oreos and shit like that while I've been on this quarantine, which explains the 12 pounds. But also, like, lots of sugars and stuff like that is not good for your body. It isn't.
Right.
And then add on to that a lack of exercise when I'm a person who works out every day at 5 a.m, you know? And like now, you know, so yeah.
And that's very important for your mental
Got to
health,
get out.
right?
Yep.
So keep finding ways to deal with some of your mental health, but also physical health. So there are online tools that you can use, you know, 10-15 minute workout that you can do in your living room, that you can do body weight stuff. You know, I really encourage people to try and find some activity somewhere, whether it's at home, go up and down if you have stairs in your house, go downstairs, go upstairs, go downstairs, go upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, do
go for a walk
that,
around the block, because then you can
right,
get sunlight and exercise at the same time and some fresh air.
right. You know, do some things. And then also, you know, if you're stuck in the house with kids, take this time to help kids with some of the life lessons. Basically, my son needs to learn math. He needs to learn construction of sentences and, you know, dividing with fractions. But he also needs to learn how to start the washing machine and separate his colors, and maybe, you know, cooking a meal, and things that we kind of take for granted in our, you know, we're so busy in our day to day. But now we're all forced to be together and we have to do these things. So really take some time to get your kids to help out and to be active in those areas, and just patience, you know, be patient. Messes are going to happen. It's okay.
Oh my God, the messes. When you were saying that, like, you know, you guys are both in the house, and so, you know, the messes are more often or whatever, like, yeah, that is true. And you can't keep your houses clean. And so really, I think that's another thing we have to be patient with ourselves, is like being in the house 24/7 now makes the house messier, but also like, you know, making the plans to get some of this stuff done though, because it is true that when people have like really messy things around them, it creates more anxiety and it feels more chaotic for most people. So like knocking some of those things one at a time off the to-do list, you know, things you've always wanted to do, cleaning out the garage, some of that. For me also, like having separate workspace from personal space has been absolutely crucial, because my home space is very it's very private for me. It's also very I protect it, you know. I don't have people at my house unless they're very special to me. My house is a sanctuary for me. And now I have to do all of my work with all of that energy in my house, you know. So I'm having to do things like I've created a workout. Well, I already had a workout room, but now it's actually being used and has better stuff in it. And yesterday I created my home office, like, so that is a space where I do my work. I leave that energy there. I sage that room at the end of the night, and then, that way I can start again fresh the next day.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. What are you doing about your kids? What are you doing about the kid? Justin and I have the same issue. Our kids are like a few months apart, and it's the same issue that I've heard lots of parents having. When we're home with the kids, like we're not really home with the kids. And like, because we are at work while we're at home, and so what are you doing in that area?
I've been a little bit more, so I used to really try and control screen time and access to games, and just recognizing that, these kids have gone from seeing their friends every day and being in their own social circles and given some space away from their parents to have exchanges and learn how to do things, to now they lose all those connections and now they're forced to be in the house with you, right? And so
Yeah.
having some patience with him and letting him have maybe a little more flexibility with being online and screen time. One of the things that I did is the school that my son goes to, they had Chromebooks that they, all kind of collectively use. And so we were able to check out one of those. And so he can log in and do his schoolwork. But any of the kids who've also are using one of those online tools, they can all talk to each other. So I'll see him in there chatting with his friends, but he can't actually speak to them. So he's actually writing messages and notes. And I feel like, just having to construct your thoughts in words and type those to your friends, and seeing how the exchanges go when you're seeing one person make a comment and another person make a comment. Those things have been very helpful, and also slows his work product down, right? He doesn't finish assignments in time. But I think it's healthy for us to understand that we all need to readjust our expectations. Really readjusting our expectations and accepting that this is different and this looks a little different, and that's okay.
And that we're all doing okay. We're doing the best we can with what we have. And my favorite thing with DBT, so I'm a DBT baseline therapist, right? And holding
What's
the dialectic. DBT is dialectical behavior therapy. And the dialectic is like the middle ground. It's like walking the middle path. And one of my favorite dialectics to hold is I'm doing the best I can and I can do better. So that I validate where I'm at, and I'm also pushing myself for change. I'm pushing myself to do better, because I know how to do a lot better. I have a lot of skills. I know how to do a lot of things a lot better. And I've also been thrown for a total loop with this that I never could have expected, because I am not somebody who I just would have thought I would have done better with all this. And I haven't done nearly as good as I thought I would. I've backtracked in so many areas in my life that I didn't even notice, because it was just like one day after another, I was just sitting home doing nothing except for working from home. And it's had like big impacts over 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And I'm not about to have that go on for the next month in my life. And so if there's anything I personally can do to help support you in any changes you want to make in your lives, like reach out to me. You can reach out to me or Justin through Therapeutic Madness. You could reach either one of us through the Youth to Harm Reduction Coalition page too, Rebel Recovery, Syringe Watch, like all of them. I have an email address, mindy@therapeuticmadness.com. Justin says Justin at therapeuticmadness.com. So like you could reach out. And if there's anything that we can do to help be a part of the solution, let us know. And I'll be posting those videos again. If you're
struggling with somebody, talk to people. If you're struggling with something, talk to people.
Yeah.
I think we're about out of time, but
yeah. Our new format keeps us out of time, makes us be out of time faster. So we're sorry, but we'll be back with you again soon in our full format. And watch for our videos, because we're going to be posting a lot of videos around some of these things that we're dealing with coronavirus, and little simple things you can do every day to get out of the funk that I think we're all in.
Yeah.
Justin, do you have any kind parting words for our friends?
Love your people.
Love your people and stay mad, my friends. We'll see you on the next episode.